Hi there, and in this lecture we're going to start lighting. Okay, so we're getting very close to the end now, and really just all that's left is sort of detail and changes and of course lighting. I've got this scene set up for a daytime scene, mainly because I wanted to see what I was doing when I was planting all the objects and texturing and so forth. But now we're going to change it to what it should be as we've drawn the concept art. And if we just take a quick look at that now, here it is, and you can see it's far from what we currently have. There's a lot more atmosphere in here, a lot more, obviously it's a nighttime scene, and currently we've got it all set up nice and bright sunny day. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to end up with this kind of look, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So let's just put that to one side. So what we're going to do is we're going to strip everything back, and then we're going to build it back up so that you can see exactly how it's done. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is turn fogging off. You'll be surprised how much fogging illuminates the scene. It really brightens it up. So you'll find fogging under the lighting tab here. If you come all the way to the bottom, there it is. Tick that off and immediately change the look of our scene. So that's the first thing. So next we're going to turn off our directional light. I've got lots of lights in here, but they're not really having any impact on the scene at the moment. They're going to be stage lights, many of them, and I'll explain what stage lights are going forward. So I'm just going to go through and just go to the inspector here. Just turn off any lights that we have on at the current moment. Just turn them all off so we can see. You may not have any at this moment in time. That's light probes. I'll explain what they do. Let's turn them off. Let's turn them off. Okay, so now we've got our directional light. It's the only light having any impact, and of course that one, and of course our skybox is having an impact on our scene, which is creating our ambient light at the current time. So if we go to our directional light, and you can see I've got this yellowy colour in here at the moment. Let's take this down, and what we're going to do is make the scene completely black and then start adding the light once it's all black. And you can see it, even though I'm taking the light down, there's something that's still creating light, and you'll find that if you go into lighting, it's the ambient color. So skybox move, if you've got something in your skybox, delete that. Ambient color, take it down, and there we go, we've got blackness. So it's completely black, and you'll see that we've got this red sky here, and this is just in the editor. So if we go to our game view, you can see we've got a completely black scene. This is cool. So now there's a couple of things you need to do before we get started, and that's if you go onto your first person controller character into the camera, make sure you've got your rendering path set to deferred. What deferred rendering will do is allow us to have as many lights as we want in the scene. If you have it on forward, you're restricted to the amount of lights that you can have in your scene. So just make sure it's on deferred rendering path. Also allow HDR, tick that box. HDR is high dynamic range, and you just get a bigger range of colors and intensity in your image when that's ticked. Okay, so that's the first thing. Okay, so now let's go back into lighting again. Let's just have a look at that. If we mess with our ambient color, you can see our scene is still there. And what we want to do is just sort of start bringing it up, and it's like a painting. We're going to layer our lighting down slowly but surely. If we look at our concept again, so we've got this overall sort of blue blue look, but ambient color kind of sits in the shadows really. So we want it quite dark, and we want it sort of a blue tinge because shadows are kind of quite cool. So if we just pop that out and bring it, so there we go. Let's just make it quite dark. Now, this screen here we're looking at is our game screen. If you look at our scene, it'll still be right, but you'll get that. You've got that horrible sort of editor sky there. So we haven't got it in our game screen, as you can see. So that's the first thing. Just change or just switch on your sort of ambient color, and so you get this sort of very faint sort of blue tinge. You can just make out the scene. Okay, the other thing I've got switched on, which I forgot to mention, and I'm going to show you how to do this also, is I've got post-processing switched on. Go to my inspector, and I'm going to just turn all of this off now. I'm sorry if I didn't do that before. Turn that off and turn that off. Okay, so it's all switched off. I'll show you how to bring that in a moment. And you can see it's dramatically changed the scene. So we want to go back to, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I should have mentioned that at the start. So we want to go back to our lighting tab and adjust our color again. This will all change once we bring in our post-processing. That's going to do a lot of the work, and you'll be quite surprised the difference it makes once we start using that. And you can see just by switching off post-processing, we've lost our dark, our shadows, because I had ambient occlusion switched on, which I'll explain what that is afterwards. So we've lost all our darkness and all our shadows, and of course we haven't got our light on, so we've got no shadows. So we just want to make this colour very subtle, quite blue, because it's going to be in our shadows like that. For now, that's cool. So that's the first thing. This will all change as we go along, so don't worry too much about it. Okay, so the next thing is we want to turn back on our directional light. So go into the inspector, and it is actually on, but we're going to change the color of it. Now this is going to be moonlight. If we look at our concept again, it's kind of a whitish light, quite strong for moonlight really, but we're going to try and get that effect. So we're going to turn on our color, and we're going to try and get some moonlight in here. So already it's kind of looking a bit too. Let's go to our scene so we can see what's going on. Our scene view. Okay, so I'm not liking that at all. I think we need to put a bit of blue in this as well. Yeah, let's just play that and have a look what it's like as we walk around now. Oh, we've still got all our mist, and fire. So the only thing we've got at the moment is ambient color, which is this, which is this sort of color here, really, out of the shadow, in the shadows, and our directional light, which is shining on these rocks. Very basic and probably a bit too bright. It doesn't really give you any sort of atmosphere. I'm not feeling that at all. Let's tell you what we're going to do as well. We're going to turn off that fogging. We're going to turn off those particles, because that's quite annoying. So the mist particle, turn that off for a minute. Mist particle, let's turn that off. I'm just going to check that out again. Yeah, because we don't want anything influencing the lighting. at the moment. So there we go. I think we're going to have to adjust our smoke because it's quite bright at the moment. Still doesn't look like night. So let's work on this some more. I'm going to go back into my ambient color. I'm going to bring that down because I think go back into my inspector and pick my directional light again. Let's see what's going on here. Make sure you got it on mixed mode as well, this light, because what mixed mode does is it allows it to be dynamic. So if your character is running through the scene, it will get lit by that light in real time, but it also bakes lighting onto static objects. If all your objects are ticked as static, like this box up here, top right, all your objects should be ticked static. The ones that don't move, then it will bake the light for that object, which will save processing power when it comes to running the game. So make sure it's mixed. So intensity is the intensity of the light, and sometimes it's quite cool just to crank that out, especially if you want a strong light. You know, bringing it down to, you know, it's quite weak. You know, we want quite a strong light. So make the intensity 3, and we can bring the light of it, color of it much stronger. Bring it down. Okay, you know, putting lighting, you know, in your scenes, it's a bit like painting. You know, you're not going to get it right the first time, second time, third time. You just need to keep adding to it and keep playing with it, and until you get that right sort of scene, that right atmosphere. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is going to turn on our fog, because I do want some atmosphere in here. And like I said, if you go into lighting, scroll to the bottom, you'll see fog setting here. Go over it and tick that box, and you'll see it come on. And because Unity has changed the way fogging works, you need to bring in your post-processing before that will work. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So just turn fogging off for a minute. If you go to your asset store and type post-processing, you'll see here post-processing, Unity Essentials, Unity Technologies free. Click on that and import it into your scene, and you'll get this folder that I've got down here like that. So do that now. Import it, import everything that comes with it, and get this folder into your scene. Once you've done that, click on the folder here. You'll see all this lovely stuff in here. Now you see I've already got this new post-processor in here, so let me just check something. Behavior. Yeah. Okay, so we need to first, let's just delete this like that. Yep, delete it. Right, now you want to right click in the window here, like so. Go to create and go post-processing profile. Click a create here, and you can put forest. Call that forest night, like so. And you'll see all these things come up down here. Right, now go to your camera. You can see I've already got one there, so I'm going to remove component. Right, you want to add a component, click on add. In this add component, type post processing behavior. Click on that, like so. You'll get a little thing added to you. Make sure it's on the camera. Let's just move this up, move it up. Move. I want it under the camera. There it goes. I want it on this. Make sure it's on your first person character here, underneath your camera. And then you want to, this forest night profile you just created here, click on that and drag it into the box here, like so. So now what that will do is the camera will look at this and use whatever settings you have in here and apply them to the camera. And you can see at the top we have fog. So you need to tick that box, go back into lighting, come down here and tick fog there, and you'll see it suddenly starts working. Okay, now obviously that's quite bright, but one thing you'll notice, and that's this: Unity doesn't do vertical rendering, vertical fogging. It's no setting to, you can set the, you know, I've got it set to mode linear, or you can have exponential, or you can have exponential squared. It's entirely up to you, but I quite like linear. Linear will start the fog where you define it here, so 1 unit in front of the camera, or you can have that at whatever you want, 20 units in front of the camera. So it will start it way down there, or 2 units, and it will start it somewhere close down here, and it'll end wherever you define the end, which I've got 90 in there. And what linear does, it will turn it solid from 2 to 90 in a linear fashion. But what bothers me is this here. It doesn't do that. It doesn't do the mode vertically. It only does it horizontally through the scene, and it's actually quite annoying. I mean, I have used engines that you can do a vertical range, just like you can start and end here. You can do it vertically as well and tell it when to stop rendering the fog. Currently it doesn't, it's not considering the sky up here at all. So if you go back into your forest, into your post-processing inspector here, and you can see it's got a setting here, exclude skybox. So you can either tell the fog to exclude the skybox, which it's doing now, and you can see behind it, and that's fine, but you need to make your skybox a similar color to your fog, or you get this weird cutting out sort of thing going on, and it's just not pleasant to look at all. Or you can tell it just to include, you know, have fog everywhere, basically all through the sky. And I quite like this. It's not going to be that bright, and you'll see in a minute it's a much better effect than that, basically. It just looks ugly in my mind. So tick that off, and then go back to lighting, and we're going to change the color of this fog. I'm going to bring it down, make it really quite creepy. Down, 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 down. Somewhere down here. Yeah, okay, let's make this 0. Let's bring this in. You can actually make it quite creepy. The lower this number, and the further I bring this in, it just makes it look a lot creepier. So it's up to you. Set it to where you want it. I mean, that just looks really creepy already. When we get to the post-processing settings, this will all change, and it'll become a lot more it'll become a lot more sort of the contrast will increase the contrast of the darks. And we've got ambient occlusion in the shadows and stuff. So, but what we're really doing now is just setting the tone, setting the atmosphere, setting the base color for our nighttime scene here, and that's pretty creepy. I think I'll just increase that slightly to say 50. Let's just have a quick run around and see what that looks like. Oh yeah, that's pretty creepy. I do like fog in the scene. It just adds atmosphere and straight away, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's really creepy. You get some really creepy sounds in here and it'll start to look pretty cool. Sound does make your art look different. I know it sounds a bit weird, but you'd be surprised. Okay, so we've come back here. I do actually want to see, as I enter this path, I do want to see the hut in the distance, and currently I can't see that. So let's bring this back down here, because this is where we come in, and we're just going to make the fogging distance enough so we can see the hut. So if we just increase that to 60, yeah, see, that's not bad. And when we get our warm lights up there, that'll really sort of pop out a lot more. Okay, so 60 is a good marker for now. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to end it there for this video, and the next one we're going to start adding our extra lights. We're going to start put our mist back in, because that's quite important. Probably change the color of that, put some warm lights in, add the post-processing effects, and start to bring our scene to life a lot more. So I'll see you in the next lecture.